Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Who will spin on the teacups with you until you get sick? Welcome back to the best part of your week. Welcome back to the Love, Death, and Movies podcast, internet's number one film breakdown and review podcast. The podcast that crushes watch lists week after week. Every month is a different genre. Every week is a different film. So follow us on everything. Join along for the ride, and let's watch some movies. Boom.
Wow.
That's perfect. That was
Very
perfect.
nice.
You
Very
didn't
well.
How
fuck
was I
up.
like nervous to do that? I don't know how you do that every week.
You didn't fuck up any line. I fuck up every week.
Well, I did write it down, so that helps. And it's also not morning for me. I've had some coffee.
Yeah, good work. That's fair
Fair
play.
enough.
Fair play. Well
All
done,
right.
Ash. That was great.
Thank you guys. Well, with me, of course, every week is Pride of Australia, Harry Argyle, and the notorious Byron. How you guys doing this week?
I'm swell. I'm swell.
Good.
How are you, Byron?
I'm all right. Outside of being sick, I've been pretty good. Pretty
Byron's
good.
on death's door. Classic.
Yeah, get some medicine, Byron. We want you well.
I'm well enough.
You're too young to have this weak immune system.
Yeah, Byron, leave that up to us.
Let us old people take care of that for you. You got
This is
another 10 years of good life in you.
this is supposed to be your prime years. But yeah, I'm good, Ash. I'm good. How are you? How's
Good.
your how's your
I'm good.
how's everything?
Yeah, no, I mean it's Sunday for me. So as far as jumping into like how our weeks were, I had my first week back at work. It was not that exciting. It was a little rough at times, but I got through it. And then other than that, I've just been kind of relaxing around the house. So what about you guys? How's the week? It's Monday morning for you, so you're off to a fresh week.
Yeah. What did I do this last week? It's like one of those weeks where everything was just kind of a blur. I should pull up my calendar because that dictates my life. Dictates my life. Um, I didn't do much. I don't think. I just worked heaps. Oh, I got to see Coldplay. I went and saw
Oh yeah.
Coldplay. Wait, when was the last time we did an episode of this? Was it after? Was it before or after I went away for a wedding? It was after,
Oh
wasn't it?
shit.
Was it
It
after?
was before.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh yeah, I went away for a wedding. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I emceed one of my best friend's weddings. Well, two of my best friends that got married together. Classic. That's how marriage works. There's two people.
Yeah.
Yeah, emceed that wedding. That was good fun. That was a sick wedding. That was mad. It was like in the middle of wine country down south a little bit. And we just had this huge property. They got married on it, and then there was like a huge marquee. There's a couple hundred people. It was great. I cried. Is what it is. Let's move on. But it was awesome, awesome day. And then we like hide out. Oh, okay. I'll tell you this. We hide out. Me and like six other friends. We hide out Airbnb, and it was on the Airbnb side. It was like 5 bedrooms or something. But there was a main house that was 2 bedrooms, and then there was like two separate. I call them shacks. They're like little bungalows, separate to the house. Super haunted, like super fucking haunted. Like I was going to sleep in one of the bungalows, and all I was hearing is footsteps. Like not like animal footsteps. Could have been like a possum or something. Everyone's like, no, it's a possum. It wasn't a possum. I know that the sound of a possum footsteps. I know the sound of a human footstep. It's not a possum. I was definitely being haunted throughout the night, but I survived. Um,
Man.
yeah, did that. That was great fun. Then came back, saw Gladiator a couple of times. I love that movie. It's a great movie. It's really good.
Is it
And
like out to the masses? Because I noticed you saw it
yeah,
too, Byron. I thought it didn't come out until like this week.
yeah, it came out earlier for Australia, New Zealand because we're better.
Yep.
Right.
Um, but I think it's a deal because they did a bunch of like special effects with Australian companies, and it's the same with Marvel and Star Wars that we get them a day earlier. But
Mm.
Yeah,
anytime
yeah,
that happens,
yeah.
it's contracted that our countries, oh, Australia gets it early, and then we just we send some scraps to New Zealand
Yeah.
because
Especially my theater. My theater fucking sucks.
yeah.
Because my local my town my local town is like it's the smallest. It's it's the biggest town that can technically be classified as a city. But if you saw
Mm.
it is no city. It just looks like a big village.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
So like my theater, you could imagine how dog shit this fucking theater is. But
Oh,
yeah,
I
it's pretty
could.
good.
Understood.
Oh,
But I did watch Gladiator 2 this week. I really liked it. I gave it a 4 stars.
Oh yeah, so right.
Is it one of Ridley's best? No, probably not. But as someone who has seen all 29 of his movies now, holy shit, he's coming up on 30.
Yeah, crazy.
I always thought it'd be
Ridley.
way more than that. Am I crazy? Because like the guy's like,
He's got a fuck ton of shorts, but then think about all the movies he hasn't directed and he's just produced.
yeah, but he's like late 80s and he's just constantly working.
I think he
Yeah,
knows like his clock is like this.
Yeah.
So I think he's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna send a movie every 2 years. Fuck you, I'm gonna make a bunch of money and then
Ash,
come out.
Ash, I reckon you should see it because Paul Mescal is getting added to a fucking list. To tell you that right now. Holy
oh, was that the
smoke.
surprise that you had for me?
He was very, very, very good.
Yeah, he's hot
It's
as
it's funny. I think he's one that I almost feel like men are like more like ooh over him than women. That at least from in my circle, I'm like every guy I know is like, oh, he's so hot, but I don't feel like I know any women that have said that.
I tell you what, I was seeing it. We'll get on top 10 girls in a quick
Yeah.
second, I swear. I was seeing it I think I've seen it 3 times now. Third time, and my mate, they were seeing it for the third time with, he's sitting next to me, and like, you see Paul Mescal, and then you see Paul Mescal, sorry. And you see Pedro Pascal, and he just leans over and goes, fuck, there's something for everyone in this movie. like, oh my god.
Pedro was actually really good too.
Yeah, he was good.
I was kind of
Mm.
surprised because when the cast came out, I was just like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
It was like Paul Mescal, I couldn't like see as the Russell Crowe type gladiator, and I couldn't imagine Pedro Pascal. Yeah, Pedro Pascal in this kind of movie. I was just like, I don't know about this, but then everything seemed to work.
Yeah,
I
that's
also went to a MMA event last week. I don't know if I touched on it last week, but that was really fun. Saw some boxing, some Muay Thai, some MMA.
Nice.
The results weren't great, but and then UFC was yesterday. That was a lot of fun. I finished 8th on the global leaderboard. Yeah, what's up? And then I had one of my best friends' stag do bachelor parties or whatever you want to call it. So that was a lot of fun. Although my body fucking hurts.
Well, you're doing stuff and you're
Yeah.
not feeling your best, I guess.
And I was
so-
doing this
Yeah.
all whilst being sick as shit. So yeah, it was a
Well,
good week, good fun week.
sounds like you guys both had a good week. Yeah.
How was your week?
Mine was quite non-eventful, so we're just gonna brush over that. I mean, probably the best part of my week was watching this movie. If I'm being honest.
It's a
So
good movie.
let's jump into it. So obviously we're still continuing nostalgia. I picked this one because I know you guys have never seen it, and it was a staple for me growing up. But we're talking about 2003's Uptown Girls by Bose Lakin. Harry, this is the director of Remember the Titans.
Yes.
So just interesting since we also did that movie on the pod. Very different films, but just thought it was kind of interesting. So yeah, jumping right into the description, I guess, of the film. Molly Gunn, the freewheeling daughter of deceased rock legend, is forced to get a job when her manager steals her money. As a nanny for a precocious Ray, the oft-ignored daughter of music executive, she learns what it means to be an adult while teaching Ray how to be a child. I don't really like this description. It's from Letterboxd, but I'll be honest, as I'm reading it, I'm like, it just makes them both sound so like bad.
Yeah.
Which I don't really like. But anyways, that's the general premise of the movie. Before I get into the breakdown, I guess I'll ask you guys your just general opinions. I fear that Byron hated it, so I'm going to have him go first so we can end on a positive note. Because I saw Harry's score. I don't know what Byron thinks. I just know that he watched the first 45 minutes last week.
There has not been a movie I can think of that we've done on this podcast that I have negatively rated.
That's fair.
That's true. Except for Warrior. You hate Warrior.
I did not like this. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, this is nostalgia month. The only nostalgia I have to this movie is that Brittany Murphy was in 8 Mile.
I fuck with that
though. Really good, by the way. R.I.P. Brittany Murphy. I did watch the first half an hour, 40 minutes of it last week because I misread the sheet. So the remaining hour and 10 minutes or whatever it was pretty good. I will be honest, the little girl pissed me off really, really fast. Oh my god. But this is a positive because I knew by the end of the movie they were going to turn it around and she was going to be likable. But man, oh my god, it took maybe like 4 lines of dialogue, and it's just like, ah, ah.
For
but
Dakota.
yeah, bro, oh my god, whatever. But yeah, I think it was fun. I think it was wholesome. Pretty fucking pretty. It's pretty doesn't get very happy until very late. It's pretty much disaster after disaster after disaster after lackluster disaster back to disaster until it starts picking up and becomes fun again consistently. But yeah, I liked it. I won't give you my rating, but I liked it.
Okay.
I really like
Mary?
this movie. This movie is great. This is like I was watching it being like, holy shit, this is stereo. I don't mean this is about. I mean this is a positive thing. Stereotypical like early 2000s of like I agree with you, Byron. Like there's a lot of like downing points in this film, but that's kind of in almost every early
Yeah.
2000s film that's always like this. They're like, shout out to Brittany and Dakota. She's great. Can we give a shout out to Donald Faison, who needs to be in way more stuff? Turk from Scrubs.
He's also on Clueless.
Yeah. Every now and then he pops up in these like early 2000 late 90s films that we watch, and I'm like, holy shit! It just reminds me of how much I
Yeah.
fucking loved Donald Faison. I think this movie's great. Brittany Murphy was just such a goddamn talent. She's talented and gorgeous. I think she's incredible in this film. Dakota Fanning pulls out like a pretty great performance for a young actress. I thought.
Absolutely.
I thought their dynamic throughout the entire film was fucking awesome as well. And it was like believable as hell. This whole like at first like you're meant to not really like be like, oh, like not really like Ray, Dakota's character, but when you realize who her parents are and like what her life is, instantly everything makes sense, and you're like, oh, okay. And then like she needs Molly as much as Molly needs Ray, which I think is really cool. Where's the legal procedure when your manager steals your entire family fortune? That's what I want to know.
Well,
And she's just like, oh, that's a shame. Anyway, I'll go get a job. Like there needs to be some people in prison. That's
if you recall, this era of film was kind of the whole point of this movie, and I think the whole point of this era was like magic, fairy tale. Like everyone was kind of, something happened in 2001 here in the United States. Everyone knows about it. And after that, every movie that would come out, I feel like was really trying to like bring this magic to the screen.
right,
Like people wanted to live in a fantasy. They didn't want to live in reality because reality was pretty dark.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like these kind of movies, it made
That's a good
sense to
point.
me. Like when they were coming out, I mean, as a kid, I didn't really see it, but now as an adult, I'm like, oh yeah, every movie, 2002, 2003, 2004, like especially these types of movies, there was like this fantasy element that like it didn't matter what made sense. It just was more about making you feel a certain way. And I think this one's a great example of that, in my opinion.
I love
So
it.
yeah, no, I don't know the legal proceedings. Obviously, she was talking to a lawyer at the time. We'll get into that scene, but yeah, I mean, he did it illegally. So what are you supposed to do? Like they said, by the time you get the
Fine.
residuals, she'll be elderly.
But
So
there's no insurance on your family fortune. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too far into it. Either way,
Oh.
either way, Molly is getting straight away fast passed towards the smoke show list. Which,
Yep.
sorry to hijack for a second, Ash, but I'll pass right back to you. Fan of the show, Braden messaged me. He's gone back and archived every person that I've nominated for the smoke show list.
Uh-huh.
So far, the list consists of 8 people.
Okay.
Of people that we watched, which the character is Charlene, which played by Ashley Judd in Heat, deserved. Well done. Chastity, played by Gabrielle Union in 10 Things I Hate About You. Tonya, Margot Robbie, I, Tonya. Whew, yeah. Carly Bobby, played by Leslie Bibb in Talladega Nights. Teresa, which is Janelle Monáe in Moonlight. Tatum, Rose McGowan, Scream. Erin, played by Shani Vizen, I think, in Your Next, and recent addition is Molly, played by Brittany Murphy in Uptown Girls.
I think we're missing a couple because there's the wife from Warrior. I didn't hear you talk about her.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's
Brayden.
also Kim Novak from Vertigo.
That's
fucking true. I'm adding two, but like
Brayden, you forgot some.
Majority of these I completely forgot. So Brayden, you're a king. So I appreciate
you
it.
forgot me.
You forgot
Well,
you.
thank you for giving us a comprehensive list.
You want to be on the smoke show list, Byron?
So far, it's all women, and they're mostly blondes,
Yeah.
so you don't fit the profile.
Hey, you guys.
I used to be blonde.
Used to, isn't.
If you dye
isn't
your hair
one
blonde
worth
again,
it.
we'll consider it.
No, I won't
All
do
right.
that.
Nice.
Ooh,
Sorry.
unless I cosplay as Charles Oliveira for next year's Halloween.
Maybe. All right, getting back on track. Thank you for that comprehensive list, Harry. Yes, Brittany Murphy as Molly would definitely be on that list. And yeah, to kind of go off of your point about the movie, yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying. I do think it's wholesome and like fun and like there's a lot of heart, but I think there's also a lot of important like life messages here. Like I think you could argue this is coming of age for both of them. I mean, you have like an 8-year-old that's trying to figure out how to be a kid, and a 22-year-old is trying to figure out how to actually be a young adult. Yeah, you like you said, Harry, they can't do it without each other. So as much as you're kind of not supposed to like Ray, I also kind of feel like you're not supposed to like Molly.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the same way, very different personalities, but they're both kind of problematic in their own ways.
She's like out of touch with reality sort of thing, you know?
Exactly. But yeah, just as like a little bit of context. So I saw this movie in theaters. It came out like 2 weeks after my 10th birthday. My mom took me to see it. Like that's what this movie means to me. Like I was very influential in my childhood as a young girl. And I was also very independent, very like I did a lot of stuff alone. I didn't have siblings that I grew up with. So I feel like I was not Ray. I'm not saying that, but I do feel like I related a lot to this like need to want to grow up too fast and be like an adult. So I definitely feel like this movie stuck for me pretty early on. And here we are 21 years later and it's still stuck. So let's get into it.
Hell yeah.
I'm just going to read the opening quote because I do think it kind of sets the tone for the movie. So it goes as follows, read by Dakota Fanning as Ray. Some fairy tales are true. Most of their stories we make up to help us deal with real life. It all depends on your point of view. But here are the facts. There was once a princess who lived in a castle high above the streets of an enchanted kingdom. The king and queen were long gone, but they left her with a treasure, that she would stay a princess forever. On the eve of her 22nd birthday, a great celebration was planned. And this is where we open to Molly on the eve of her 22nd birthday, which is wild. It feels so young now that I'm going towards 32. That's Byron's age. I know, it's fucking weird. Her best friends are throwing her a surprise party that she's late to because she fell asleep in the late evening. Happens to the best of us. Molly's young, vibrant, free-spirited. She's living this fairy tale life alone in New York City in an apartment that she inherited from her parents with her pet pig, Moo.
Oh, shout out to the pig. The pig's mad.
Pig is so great. I remember I wanted a pet pig for like a solid year after I saw this movie. My mom was like, absolutely not happening. Probably for the best.
But we'll get bacon.
Yeah. She does things like keep cash in her freezer and wears lampshades in her hair as an accessory. Like when we think free spirit, not really living by the rules of life, we think of Molly.
Question: the keeping cash in the freezer, is that just a point to be like, oh, she's free spirited, or is that something that people actually did back then?
People did. I've seen that in so many films and movies. Just like a place to keep it. Why you keep it cold, I actually don't know. But I feel like it was like a hiding place for cash. Like you would not want someone to think to look there. So if you're trying to hide it, you would put it in your freezer.
Okay. All right. I get it.
Yeah. Weird, but happens.
Yeah, if someone robs your house, who the fuck's going to go into your fridge?
Me. If I'm robbing your house, I'm going for a popsicle first to kind of like entertain myself while I pick up all of your Deadpool masks and Scream masks and Funko Pops.
But when you're robbing Molly Gunn's house, I think you're going to see the 20 guitars, and you're probably going to go for those first before you go for the freezer. So
what happens if it's at like 1 o'clock in the morning and like you get snacky?
Yeah,
you guys are getting too literal with this freezer
I'm going
cash.
for a popsicle first. Like,
also,
honestly,
by the way, I saw the pig, and I couldn't get the thought out of like it's almost December, which means Christmas ham.
Yeah, that's true.
So I saw this pig the entire time as food.
How dare you to moo, first of all. Second of all, don't focus too much on the cash in the freezer. I think also in this film, it's trying to showcase how like Molly's very irresponsible and
Yeah.
that she like the money that she does have like in her pocket that's not in the bank, she's just kind of willy-nilly keeping in the freezer and doesn't even know like how much money she has, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just kind of speaks to her kind of chaotic life.
Oh yeah, I was just confused. I'd never seen that before. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it actually quite a bit of times in movies and shows. But
Yes.
anywho, after the party, or not after the party, at the party, she meets Ray in the bathroom. I love this scene. I think it's hysterical. She's like calling her out before she even walks out of the stall. And I love when she's like wearing a lampshade in your hair. That's a bright idea. Like there's just so many little lines from Dakota Fanning like that I think she says perfectly for being, she's actually like 8 or 9 in real life when she made this movie. And even though she is annoying towards the beginning, she's funny. It's like the delivery of the lines is funny.
She's great.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's obviously the daughter of a major record label executive, played by Heather Locklear. She has not been in movies in a very long time, but she was definitely during this era. She brings her daughter out late to clubs with her, apparently. It's great parenting. We kind of get an idea up front that Ray probably is this way for a lot of reasons. But yeah, it's very clear she's uptight. She's hypochondriac. She's a germ freak. She's also very lonely. And I feel like that's very clear pretty early on as well, which is kind of sad considering she's a kid. Molly also meets Neil, singer who performs at her birthday, thanks to Huey. And she manages to get him to go home with her. They don't really say this, but my assumption after seeing this movie as many times as I have is that she tells him about her father and he gets excited about that. And that's why he agrees to come to her place. Because when they get there, he's like, so can I see his stuff? You know, immediately he just is interested in her dad's stuff.
Yeah.
Which is quite sad because obviously she's trying to pique his interest for her. But we have this kind of not montage, but series of days. We don't really know how many days exactly where, you know, he's staying with her. He's trying to write a new song because Heather Locklear's character makes a comment about how he needs a new song if he wants to be considered for the label. He's writing a song. He can't really focus. She starts getting suffocated by him. And just in that exact moment, he tells her that he's suffocated and wants to leave. I think this is an interesting like moment for Molly because she's thinking it and she's feeling it, but him saying it out loud first, I think it kind of breaks her. And you can kind of tell she's probably done this pattern with multiple guys where she gets really obsessive and like focused and doesn't really know them. And then she kind of gets herself feeling suffocated and then she gets upset when they move on. So I think it just kind of speaks to her character and that she has nothing for herself. Like she has no purpose for herself. So she kind of gets distracted by other people kind of determining her worth, I guess, versus determining it herself. That's kind of my, I guess, more deep interpretation of their little relationship that they have there. So yeah, he leaves and she's obviously a mess and Ingrid tries to help her clean up her life, her place, kind of help her get her money in order. And this is when we find out that her manager stole it. Really, she has only been living off her parents' inheritance. So she has no money and has no clue how much she has, where it's gone, anything about it. So she has to basically get a job for the first time in her life at 22 years old, which is crazy. But also I feel like not that uncommon that some people may have never had a job until their early 20s. I think that happens more often than we would think.
It's getting worse as the years go on.
For sure.
For sure, because nowadays get way lazier than normal. Coming from me.
Yeah, it's very possible.
I mean, I got my first job at 14, 15. Somewhere in there. Yeah, it was in high school. So yeah, 15.
Yeah. I think most people get a job out of necessity, whereas if you're looking at someone like this character, she obviously doesn't have a necessity. So when you check that off the list, it's like she would have to get a job for pure want and growth and like, you know, doing something with your life. And like I said, she has no purpose. So clearly she's just going to kind of live in this fairy tale. And even to your point, Harry, down to the line of like, he tells her that she has no money and that the residuals would take too long. So basically she's broke. She sort of just looks at them and goes, this is fine. It's all going to work out. Like, I'm going to figure this out. She refuses to like accept the reality of what her life is about to be. And that's that childlike living in the fairy tale, unrealistic. She's kind of the opposite of a realist, right? Like she's this big dreamer and thinks things are just going to work out without having to do any kind of effort. And I think that's very relatable. I don't know, as a kid, like I was very much like that. I was very much a dreamer, and obviously I'm older now. I'm much more realistic, but I think it's very relatable, which I think is nice to see in this adult character. So before we take a little break here, this leads her to having to get her first job at a very expensive high-end retail store that basically her friend helps her get. And she manages to lose this job after one day because she buys these Egyptian cotton sheets because she claims that no man can resist this thread count and that
900.
she takes it over to Neil's place kind of out of desperation. And they're like ridiculously expensive too, like $1,300 or something crazy. And she basically tries to convince him, to let her stay. And I think this is just his way of getting sex, but he says they can date, which I don't think he has any intention of actually like dating her. And he wants to steal like inspiration from her. I think she brings some sort of magic to him, and this comes up later in the movie too, that it's helping like him find inspiration with his writing and his songs. So he's kind of using her in that sense, and she is kind of just eating it up. So I'll stop there. Basically, she wakes up in the bed, sleeping on her job, gets fired on day one. And I'll just stop there. Any initial thoughts or anything to add in this kind of first chunk of the movie? I guess, did you guys have any I know you already said your initial thoughts about Ray, but any kind of thoughts about Molly or kind of her character?
Yeah,
I like it.
you go first, Ryan.
I actually really like. I mean, I saw this last week. This section last week. I thought it was good. I liked pretty much every character except Neil. I thought he was a fucking.
Neil was a bit of a loser.
Yeah, you're not supposed to like Neil.
I'm trying to think of the word. I don't know what I can get away with. I'll just say goof. He's a fucking goof.
Whoa. Let's just lower the language barrier there, Byron. Goof is too much.
Bitch.
Good,
Yeah,
good
I don't know.
point.
I just got a weird feeling about it. I got the same feeling as when we watched Miss Doubtfire with what was the other guys? What was the other dude's name?
Stu?
Yeah. I got the same feeling with that guy.
Hmm.
I had the same feeling. I was just like, this guy's just going to be an asshole.
Stu was good. Justice for Stu. Stu
fuck
just
you,
wanted
Stu.
to make a good life for those kids.
No.
Neil's
That's
a
fair.
Neil's
No.
a piece of shit that's trying to like.
Standing by.
Neil
No.
is a user. I think that's
Yes.
he uses people to get what he wants, and he tries to pretend like he's a good guy. And this comes up later in the conversation they have when he tries to like when she kind of gives him the cold shoulder. But yeah, he's selfish and he's just kind of looking for fame, I think is the impression that I get.
I think
Harry?
my biggest pro is actually the music.
The music's great. We'll talk about the music. Yeah,
It
the
was
music
very good.
is
It was
fantastic.
very good.
I like because I watched this last night. I can't remember. Did they play Uptown Girls the song?
No, it's not in the movie.
What? Why not? Because I thought I must have missed it because at the end of it I was like, I don't think they played it.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Molly's great. I love the introduction of Molly here. Like, there's elements that you're not supposed to really like. And you like, it's kind of just like you like look down on her more than you just don't like her. Where you're like, oh come on, just get with kind of get with it. But like her positive attitude is kind of tough to not be infectious. The whole thing of like her really wanting a job as well. I think that's really awesome. Like when she's all interviewing for that high end job for the fashion label, and they just straight up are milking her for money, and they're just like she's like, is there a discount? Because 10%, and our what was it,
Our
staff.
employees are some of our best customers.
That's it. And I was just like, oh my god, shut up. But yeah, I thought that was really good. So yeah, we haven't really like I agree with you. I think Ray has some of the best lines in this film. Like one of my favorite ones is like where she's like, you might have it in your notes, but she's like, have you ever seen a shrink? Since I was 3. Like I think that like I love Ray. But yeah, I think that Dakota Fanning is great. That yeah, bringing her out to a nightclub's kind of wild. And he's like, I need my 8 hours. Come on, come on. Like she's like, I think she's fucking awesome. But yeah, Molly's great. I'm fully in.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. No, I think especially if you guys ever rewatch this, your opinion of Ray, I feel like shifts once you know the whole story and know kind of her life. Because I find myself
Exactly.
not really
Yeah.
being annoyed by her now when I watch it. I actually find myself just sort of like empathizing with her and really like thinking that she's actually quite witty and quite smart because she has to be. And there's also a lot of like dark humor. Like there's things that she said, like the shrink line about since she was 3, like that's pretty dark, realistically, if you think about it. So
Oh,
some of the
big time.
comedy and what she's had to go through is actually quite jarring. So awesome. Well, we can jump right into Molly beginning to work as her nanny,
Let's
which
go.
is kind of where we pick up. So obviously we've already touched on kind of how her personality is, but you can see how different these two are. I mean, they're complete opposites. Ray's doing things like performing like strict ballet, listening to Mozart. Her room, everything is in like a perfect place. She likes order and precision because she has control over those things. And those are not things that most 8-year-olds are concerned with, obviously. We also learned that there's a man who's staying in a hospital bed, like in the study or the library with like nurse attention. We learned this is her father who is sick and in a coma. And he's essentially a vegetable, which is also quite dark that this is happening and she's only 8 years old. Actually, Molly ends up quitting on day 1. I love this entire sequence of scenes where they're getting to know each other and she's like in her room and they're just kind of bickering back and forth. And then they're in the kitchen doing the dishes. And Ray's just like ripping her a new one after the other, just like giving her a hard time about the dishes and all of that. And I love
With a
this scene
towel.
because,
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many good lines there. I didn't write them all down, but I love when Molly's kind of at her breaking point, and I think she's basically said something around the like lines of talking to her mother. And Ray's just like, take a look around. Do you see her anywhere? News flash, you're not gonna. And that's actually become like I think like an internet trend. I've seen that sound go around
Yeah.
all over the place. But she's like, until then, you're working for me. And I think her delivery there is perfect. And you can really see that like Ray is raising herself. Like this is like the moment that it's clear. Like her mother is so not present. Her
Raising
father's
herself, eh?
raising herself.
Mm.
I think the writing in this movie is really good and clever. Like I just like moments like this scene, like when they're kind of just the banter back and forth that her and Brittany Murphy have, and like the chemistry that they have is so good. Like, and even the way it's shot, like down to the swinging door scene, like just the way that the camera shoots that, where it's like swinging door and then just like knocks her out. Like I just love the way that they frame these two characters. To kind of set them up to be like enemies and be opposites, and then you realize how essential they are to each other's lives. I just think it's really cool, and I think this movie is really smart in the way that it executes it. Um, so she comes home to find out that she's been kicked out of her apartment. Molly does. This is after she's quit her job with Ray. She's lived there for 20 years, and basically they just kicked her out and like boarded up the door and put the pig outside. And she ends up living with Ingrid temporarily. That obviously goes poorly, which we kind of know that it will because they're very opposite of each other as well. Ingrid's almost like the adult version of Ray if Ray
Yeah.
never like changed. You know what I mean? Like she's very much similar. She wants order and things to be scheduled and planned out, and Molly's very carefree. So they really don't blend well
I feel
together.
like they like position a couple of her lines in order for her to be like not a villain, but like not like her, where she's like, well, yeah, you don't have to give me a housewarming gift. Like
Uh-huh.
it's already gonna be tough to find half of rent, and like the kind of like the music's like shifted in a
Hmm.
way that people should be like, oh, what? But it's like, yeah, of course she should pay rent. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yes,
I think they set up Ingrid to kind of be that way, but at the same time, she's like a friend that really loves Molly, but she's hard on her.
yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
Huey is kind of the other friend. He's kind of the saving. He was always saving Molly and
Donald
always
Faison.
kind of, yeah, wanting her to be around for fun. Whereas Ingrid's really trying to help her grow up. So it's really interesting. You have like Molly in her own life with her two friends who are kind of two opposite personalities and dragging her in these two different types of lives. And then you have Ray, who's like a kid, who's also kind of forcing Molly to think about what she wants. I mean, at the core of the story, Molly is the main character. She is the one that, we're focused on seeing her progression. Ray's sort of like a catalyst of that. And she obviously does have her own moments of being able to kind of be a kid. But I do think it's interesting. Everyone in Molly's life is kind of serving a purpose in a different way. Okay, so jumping to picking her up from ballet, this is kind of, I guess, where the movie changes a little bit. This is where Molly apologizes to her. You can kind of see that Ray's like happy to see her, even though they just fought a few days ago. I love these scenes where they're strolling through like Central Park and she's like dancing around and she's like, why aren't you doing the freestyle after ballet class? That's so fun. Like, that's you should be just dancing around. And then Ray tells her that fundamentals are the building blocks to fun,
Yeah,
which
fundamentals
is
of the
such a great
building blocks
line.
for fun. That's so
And
good.
reminds her to act her age, not her shoe size. The amount of times I said that as a kid is way too many.
Yeah, it's a great
Um,
line.
Great line. And then basically we kind of get these two starting to sort of be instrumental for each other. Ray's going to help Molly grow up and Molly's going to help Ray just be a kid, which we've already kind of said these things. But I feel like this is the moment where it kind of starts to shift. I love the moment where they're discussing their parents. Ray's talking about her father more and how he's basically just like a vegetable and there's no point in spending time with him, which is just so sad. And Molly's telling her about not wanting to detach from her parents' stuff. And Ray doesn't get that. Like, it's just stuff. Why do you need to hang on to it? But she kind of explains to her, like, it's all that she has of them. And it's not her choice, it's their stuff. So she feels like she has to keep a hold of it. And this is that kind of, I don't know, I think it's an impactful line. I don't know if you guys felt this way, but when Molly's telling her, like, that's kind of harsh, don't you think? Like, when she's talking about her father, and she's just like, it's a harsh world.
Yeah, I thought
And
that was brutal.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's still a line that sticks with me to this day. Like, I feel like it's so true. And you want to let kids be kids, but when kids are being in the environment that Ray's in, like, how can she not feel that way about the world? Like, she's already so jaded by 8 years old, but it's not really her fault. So I think that's a really impactful conversation that they have about kind of their parents and kind of more, I guess, deep stuff that's going on in their life. So I'll stop here. Anything else to add or anything else you guys liked in these scenes?
No, I just love the continuing dynamic throughout this entire film with Ray and Molly. It's kind of like the centerpiece for this film. Like that's where a lot of the thing, like that washing up scene where she quit. It's like newsflash, like she's nowhere to be seen. And then she's like, newsflash, Mussolini, I quit. Like I think it's just they're perfect for each other, kind of thing. Like in terms of like dynamic, I think the like actor on actor wise, I think they're brilliant. There isn't like too much to add here. Like it's just the all the dynamics that you like. This is where by the end of this sort of section, you completely understand why Ray is who she is. Like the way that her cynical view on like everything with her dad, which I'm sure you'll get to like once the spoilers, the dad passes and the mom's like, oh, she's taking it really well. Like she hasn't said anything. Like she's been really calm, and she's like, you think that's taking it well? Like I think that's really like detrimental. But man, just Dakota Fanning's just such a good actress,
She
and
is.
it really shows because like of how much she still has a pretty great career right now. And makes sense why she was just such a talent back then. But man, I wish Brittany Murphy was still around.
I know. And Dakota Fanning even talks about in interviews today about how impactful Brittany Murphy was for her and how much she made sure to make that set so fun for her.
I
And it
bet, yeah.
shows on the screen. Even though they're having these difficult conversations and having this like tumultuous relationship through a lot of it, you can tell the chemistry's there. And that's because in real life, clearly you have this like grown adult woman who made this 8 or 9 year old feel very comfortable, which is very clear on screen.
Absolutely. Byron.
Yeah, not too much to add on, but I like it. I like the parts where they leave each other, and then like they're coming back like in the very next scene. But I like how they keep going like this, and then one goes, and then it starts drifting apart. I'm back. No, back.
It's like they're made
I
for each
like
other.
that. I like that. But yeah, you're right. It's at this point where you understand both sides and why both of them are doing what they're doing. So I liked all these scenes, but I did think it was taking a while for. I was just waiting for the moment where Ray was just like, "God damn it, I miss her," and then would come back. I was just like, I was like looking at my watch.
Yeah, she doesn't want to. She would never want to
Taking
admit
a
it.
little long, but I know it's coming. So there's the payoff.
Yeah,
Yeah. All nice, well scenes. It's good character
for
development all
sure.
around.
Yeah, these are kind of like the scenes that just kind of have the momentum towards this like kind of third act, I feel like, that we'll be getting
Yeah,
into
and
here
where
soon.
it's all going.
Mhm.
It's not in a bad way. It is very predictable, but I think that gives you something to look forward to at least.
It's
Yeah.
predictable in the sense of you know where it's kind of going, but you
Yeah.
can never predict some of the scenes that are
Oh, for
coming as far
sure.
as
Yeah, yeah,
how like impactful they are. I feel like you
yeah.
could
I
never
mean, in like
guess, but
the
yeah.
grand scheme of things, you know what direction it's going to go. You know what characters are going to do certain things. You know that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But yeah, I liked it all. It's good.
Good. Okay. Well, Molly and Neil meet up. This is where he basically uh, tells her that he's signed a record deal. And he plays her his new song, which we didn't really go into it before, but if you recall at the beginning of the film, he says, I'm not a sellout. I don't do hooks. And she tells him the song needs a hook. What do you think he's going to do?
You put the hook in.
He's going to put a hook in there, inspired by Molly and the Egyptian cotton sheets. Um, this is, I guess, a time to bring up the music because there's two original songs for this movie. Both were written by the same person. They're both absolute bangers. I sang them both often as a kid, and I just absolutely love the music. I mean, even the songs that they put in that were already like just regular songs out in the world at that time, I think fit great. They're a little cheesy. Yes, they're very much like early 2000s rom-com at times, like 13 going on 30. I feel like has similar kind of vibes with the music, but I do think these original songs are a lot of fun. And I do think it's funny that they bring that back around, that he literally within weeks became quote unquote a sellout.
Yeah.
So Neil shows her the new, or sorry, she shows Neil the new and improved version of his jacket because she kept his jacket that he left there as a
God.
way to kind of keep him coming back to her. And she burns it at one point on accident. So she ends up like completely changing it, making it look totally different. And he is completely pissed off and basically just breaks up with her and tells her he can't see her anymore. She's obviously devastated by this and feels very, I think Molly struggles with abandonment. It's kind of what I've
Oh, for
gathered through
sure.
watching this many times. And this is
Usually,
another example of, continuing to feel that abandonment. Even though I don't think she loves him or anything, I think she's kind of just infatuated, but I still think it hits her when people don't want her around. So those moments are kind of, I guess, influential for the two of them. And then moving back to her and Ray, I love that Ray's like, "Are you still hung up on that guy?" Like, clearly they've talked about it and had a conversation about it. And
Yeah,
she tells her, "Other people always let you down. Why don't you forget about them and do something else?" Wise advice from an 8-year-old. People do always let you down. You should figure out something and do something for yourself. So I think that's something that Molly definitely needed to hear. And they had this discussion about how Molly's scared. She denies it, but we all know it's true. She knows it's true deep down, that she's scared. And they both are, really. And this is kind of some of the moments where I feel like they really are starting to, I guess, say things to each other that they need to hear. And they're maybe finally starting to hear it a little bit, which is important for the story. And then we get to just some of my favorite scenes in the movie. Molly comes over on her day off, takes Ray to do something fun. It's a surprise. Brings her on the subway, which she clearly hates, but I think she secretly is excited about it. Takes her to Coney Island, which is somewhere that Molly obviously went as a kid. She has to eat a Nathan's hot dog before
Oh,
she
that's
can enter
so
the park.
good. Yeah.
Love this scene. So great. She's just freaking out. Nitrates and rats, and I can't eat it. I'm gonna die. I love the scene where she finally like eats it and she swallows it, and it's just like the biggest gulp sound. Like she
Yeah.
swallowed
It's
it.
like a cartoon.
Like she did it, and everyone in the room is just like, "What the fuck are these people on about? What is happening?" I love that scene so much. And then we flash to them actually getting into the park. Obviously, it's empty and it's not open yet. So we find out that they're a week early and obviously quite bummed. But she does tell her about the teacups. And I think this kind of story that they talk about when they get back is really cool. So I'll just kind of summarize it. But Molly tells her about when she was 8 years old. That's the last time she saw her parents or talked to her parents. So she was the same age as Ray when her parents passed away. And she explains to her that she wasn't sad, she was confused. And so she packed up, said she was going to go live at Coney Island, and the teacups was the only ride they would let her on. So she just started spinning round and round. And she says, sometimes I feel like I'm still there and the ride won't stop. I think that this probably is one of the most pivotal moments in the entire film and their relationship. And obviously it comes back after her father dies. And she says that she is scared. She finally admits that she's scared and tells Ray that she's scared too. She thought that taking her to the teacups together would be better because then they wouldn't be alone. And then this moment always gets me. Molly cries into Ray's lap. Like just the idea of an adult being comforted by a child. I don't know. That gets me every time. And then they kind of like snuggle to sleep, and it's just like a really sweet moment of the movie. And I think kind of fully coming to realization that Molly was the same age as Ray when her parents passed away, I think you kind of see this inner child in Molly that never really healed. And that's why she's still kind of acting the way that she acts.
Is this
That's
the
my
scene
opinion,
where during the night Ray gets up and goes into the library?
That's around the same time. I was just about to
Oh,
say,
sorry.
like, she starts spending more time. No, you're good. No, you can talk about it because I was just going to say she starts spending more time with her dad because I think Ray's starting to finally get this like hopeful feeling. She starts reading near him, and this is where Molly tells her that she should talk or like read out loud, and talks to her about how like she saw a show once where the people who talk to their sick loved ones, they hang on a little bit longer. And this is another very impactful scene where they pinky swear. And she says, promise. And
Yeah.
Molly promises. And that's a big deal as a kid. I don't know. I mean, at least as a young girl, for me, I remember like pinky promises were everything to me. Like if someone pinky promised you something and it didn't come true, it was a big deal. So I think this moment is really crucial for the two of them, between having the conversation, going to Coney Island, her talking and reading to her dad more, and Molly promising her that her dad will be here longer if she does that. And obviously we find out a few days later. We don't really know exactly how many days between that and when he passes, but you kind of expect it's a few days later. So not much time. We find out he passed away, and Molly finds Ray practicing ballet in her room as if nothing happened. She's talking to her, and Ray just won't even acknowledge her. And she just says, "You promised."
Yeah, that's the most
Throughout.
heartbreaking line.
Yeah. This whole little chunk right here, like with the dad dying, and yeah, it's brutal. And this is where you were talking about, Harry. The Molly is formally let go by Roma, the mom, and she tells her Ray's level-headed. She's taking it well. She's just so calm about everything. And Molly
Bitch.
proceeds, huh? What are you gonna say?
I said bitch.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the mom is not great. But obviously Molly says she wants an explanation, and this is where she kind of expresses to Roma that she maybe doesn't know as much about her daughter as she thinks she does. And she tells her that she respects her daughter, and that her daughter does not want Molly around, so she's going to respect her wishes. And she tells her she's 8 years old, not 28. Please remember that the next time you show her some respect. Boom, bitch. Roma, in your face.
I love it.
I knew she was going to do that. As soon as she picked up the money or the check, or whatever the fuck it
Worked it
was,
up.
I knew she was just going to put it down and start ranting on it.
It's
I was
good.
just like, yes, let's go.
It shows
Yeah.
that like it's turned like Ray's gone so far in this film so far, but then Molly's like money means fuck all to her now. Like she
Yeah.
doesn't give a shit about the
Yep.
money. She cares about
It's
Ray.
about the relationship.
Yeah.
Anything else to add here? I was going to stop there until and then I just have one more little section, and that's the end. So
It was a well and good.
No, I think that like you said it perfectly. That scene at Coney Island was like the absolute catalyst of like the turning point. And then it's heartbreaking. Like it's good that like Ray got more in tune with spending more time with her dad before he passed, but then for him to suddenly pass straight away, it's like, man, it's just like hitting a wall. Like that's it's so tough on the kid. And yeah, the "you promised" line is shattering. But again, like it's shattering because these two characters are great. Yeah, this movie's great.
Isn't it so good?
There was one set. I don't know how far we're going back. I really like the montage when they were like on the like somewhat on the same page, and they did that little montage of like back and forth, and then like
Oh yeah.
it shows Ray beating up on this fucking like ground and pounding this other kid.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And then
My
she's
nanny
like,
was
A horse slap
Yeah,
bag or
she-
something?
yes. I don't know if we can say those words.
Fuck it.
That's why I was
Yeah,
like glad you clicked.
her
But,
au pair said that my
But yeah,
nanny,
she does
yeah.
that, and then it just cuts, and then it's Molly on top.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the fuck? I really like that montage. That was fun, and that the music in the background. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I've got it.
I really love those scenes as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. That's
Have you
real
gone
fun.
mad? There is never an excuse for hitting another person. What is going on? She
30
was
seconds
laughing at me
later.
because her au pair said that my new nanny was a slutbag whore. Molly immediately starts going at it. Like, that's great.
I love it so much. I
It's
feel
like
like it
grabbing her head and
shows.
like whacking it
Yeah,
on the ground. By the way, that's brain damage right there.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was definitely. I mean, it was nothing for an 8-year-old to be kind of going like that. It was definitely
She's in the
pretty
back.
intense.
Like, yeah.
But I do love that you see how Ray has this like like she has this protective side in her where even though she's given Molly a hard time, it doesn't take long for her to really love her and like defend her in a sense, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, amen.
Awesome.
Yes,
Good. Well, I'm glad you guys like those moments as much as I do. Okay, well, getting into the final bit of the movie, we kind of jumped. It's like a little bit of a difference in like tone. We jumped to an auction for Molly's father's guitars, where an anonymous buyer buys all of them for like $75,000. Wonder who that could be. Um, Molly starts kind of getting her life figured out. At this point, she's been staying with Huey. Now she gets her own apartment, which is really cool. And this is where we get a call from Roma to find out that Ray's missing, and she doesn't know where she is. And I love this scene where Molly just like has the realization and the Coney Island music starts playing. And then you kind of just like spin the camera and she's there in front of the teacups. I think it's the coolest shot in the movie.
It's great.
I love it so much. And we flash to her sitting there. She sees Ray sitting in the teacups and they don't say a word. She just hops in and they start spinning. This scene brings me to tears every
They don't
single
need
time.
to say a word.
You don't. No, I mean, the whole thing says everything, especially when you know the story of like why Molly wanted to take her there and be together. The way the music is mixed with the close-up shots on their face, like it's all so simple and it's so powerful. Shout out George. I know he loves this scene as well and loves this movie, but like this moment is like probably the most impactful of the entire film.
For sure.
Says everything with saying nothing and then jumping straight to her, like obviously throwing up from the spinning. But she proceeds to like slap Molly. And then Molly slaps her twice. And then she just starts punching her in the stomach and abdomen, and just completely breaks down. And I love that Molly just lets her do this. Like she knows this kid has so much pent up frustration and anger that she just needs to get out. She just lets her do it. And then that goes to a cry into a tight hug, which is just such a beautiful moment. I don't know how you watch the scene and you don't cry. Like
it was wholesome, but I laughed because I thought it was so fucking funny when she was just standing there like fucking going ham.
I don't think you're supposed to think it's funny.
It looked funny.
It's a grieving little girl.
It's so sad.
It looked funny.
That's fair.
But it was a real wholesome scene. I actually think that's the most important bit. They're like 5 seconds right there.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I'm kind of talking about
violence,
spinning into
violence
that scene.
to a hug.
Yeah, like I think the scene with the spinning though, where she like she like refuses to look at Molly, and then like she like reaches out and you can see that like she's fucked up. Like
For sure.
Yeah, they're both so lost, and I think that's the whole point, is that this place is an escape and they somehow find a way out of it together. So I think for what these characters have gone through, that little section is the most impactful, for sure. And I hate that it's over so quickly, but I also don't think my emotions could handle it if it lasted much longer. So we get to the funeral of her father. Then obviously Molly and Ray have a conversation, and I love that Ray like expresses to her that she's a grown-up now, and Molly tells her that they're going to be friends now. So they're kind of moving on. Obviously she's not going to be her nanny anymore. They're actually just going to be friends and be in each other's lives because they want to be. Molly applies for fashion school, where I love when the lady tells her, like, you have all this experience and all these people, like you could just work anywhere you want. Why do you want to go to school? And she's like, fundamentals are the building blocks to fun.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like Ray's taught her something and the importance of actually learning something for herself. And then we get to the final scene, which is the ballet recital, the end of year recital. And we find out that Ray dedicates the entire thing to Molly with the help of Neil. He tries to have his moment to come back and be a good guy. So he's basically bought all the guitars, all the little ballet dancers all have one. He's singing Daddy's Little Girl, which is the song that Molly's dad wrote and sang about her, with his favorite guitar. I'm sobbing. We're all sobbing. And Ray finally does her freestyle dancing, which I love these last couple of moments because just watching Dakota Fanning like across the stage, like cha cha cha, like it just brings a smile to your face, and you kind of see Ray finally like ridding of all that stress and all that perfection that she was so concerned about, and she's actually just having fun for the first time, doing something she loves like ballet. So I love that full circle moment, and then the ending shot is just them smiling at each other. I absolutely love it. I think it's perfect, and you kind of see that they just healed each other. These two, two kids basically who were not acting their age, have healed each other. And then we end with the final quote, also read by Dakota Fanning, like it is in the beginning. And she says, "Every story has an end, but in life, every ending is just a new beginning."
Ooh.
Credits roll. This is Uptown Girls. So give me your final thoughts, final scores, all the good stuff.
This is Uptown Girls. I love this movie. This movie's great. It's great fun. I feel like I'm giving it a 4 at the moment, but I do see this going up on like more rewatches, and like this movie looks like something I could watch regularly. I think that the dynamic between Brittany and Dakota is undeniable, and as you said, like the stories of on set, apparently they like Brittany made sure that the set was fun. You can totally tell that. You can totally tell that Brittany was like a genuinely good person. God damn, is she missed. I thought that she'd be still just so goddamn good if she was still with us. I think I love this movie. Is it a little bit formulaic? Who cares? Like, it's an early 2000s film. If it's done well, it's done well. Like, I don't give a shit about formula. Good characters, fun story, great times, great classic hits. 4 out of 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Byron?
It was actually another one of my favorite scenes towards the end is when they were sitting on the bed and saying like, "Oh, I'm not going to be your nanny. We're going to be friends."
We're gonna be friends.
And then she says, "This is like, kids don't stay friends with adults." She's like, "Oh, I don't see adults." She's like, "I do."
Yeah.
It's just like nice because she hadn't had that like full recognition yet. So when she said that, I was just like, "Oh, there we go, there it is." And then, the whole final recital scene, that was all probably ideally the perfect ending for a pretty sad and pretty fucked up movie for the first three quarters. It was good to end on that kind of note. I liked it. I agree with Harry. I think the story was good. Sure, it's generic in some parts, but I still think it works really, really well. I like all the characters. I like what they would. I like the themes. The music fucking banged. I don't know how much rewatchability this has for me. I might give it another go down the line at some point. I don't know why, but I might. As of right now, it's a 3.5. George and a half. Fuck you, George. But yeah, I like the movie. Kind of surprised though. Surprised I liked it quite a lot because this is the kind of movie that I'd give like a random like 2.5 to.
I'm surprised too. I was expecting you to not like it. I don't know why. I thought you would think it was too generic and just like not like
maybe I was just scared. Maybe I was just scared to give it a low rating.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very proud of you, and I'm glad that you gave it a 3.5, and I'll take it. And if you never rewatch it again, that's okay. I think just the fact that you saw it, that's all that matters.
Shout out Brittany Murphy.
Shout out Brittany Murphy. Welcome to the Smoke Show list.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually rewatched this movie for the first time since I was younger, like maybe a year ago, or like maybe it was even less than that. I made a TikTok about like a movie review about it because I feel like no one was talking about it. I think George was like one of my only mutuals that had watched it because I think his fiance loves this. I think he watched it with her or something. And I was like shocked that the Letterboxd score was so high. I was like, damn, I love when a movie I loved as a kid is like actually good, and like actually like
and not just a pile of shit when you watch it 20 years later.
Like it actually ages
well.
That
actually really sucked.
That always makes me sad. So I was happy to see that this was like still really good, and I actually found different things to love about it as like a grown adult versus being like a teenager. But yeah, I just think that Brittany Murphy is what makes this movie. Yes, it's generic, it's formulaic, but without her like magic and her spirit that she brings to roles, I don't think it would have been the same movie. And then Dakota Fanning being just like a talented young kid actor it's what made the movie what it is. So I think they both like bring their absolute A game. I miss Brittany Murphy. I made it my point to watch every movie she was in when I was younger. I just absolutely loved her. So
8 Mile.
I think it's clear that, my opinions are very strong about this film, but it meant a lot to me as a kid. I feel like it helped me through a lot of things, and I give it a 4.5. I'm sure one day it'll be a 5, but I always like wait because I have to like watch it enough times before I give it that score.
Yeah.
I give 5
yeah.
I get that.
so liberally. It's like
Huh?
I give 5 so liberally. Like
Depends on the day sometimes, but sometimes if I hold on to a movie, I'm like, I want to save it for like that one time I watch it and it just like hits different. I want to be
Yeah, I
able to
feel
go
that.
up from there,
that was like last year I watched Arrival for like the 3rd time, and I was like, oh, it was like the Danny DeVito moment. Like I get it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is
That's a fucking masterpiece.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Shout out to me.
But anyways, yes, I agree with everything you guys have said. I'm so glad you both loved it. This movie has a lot of nostalgia for me, so I really wanted to talk about it this month. And I feel like those two actors, especially, it just brings about nostalgia because they are both in so many things.
For sure.
So yeah, I think it's a great movie about like self-discovery and figuring out purpose and all those themes within this like fun, kind of vibrant New York setting, and obviously a lot of like dark, sad moments mixed in with a lot of like fun, happy moments. So I think it's a perfect balance. And it's only 90 minutes, so it's an easy watch.
Yeah, I was surprised how
and,
short
yeah,
it was.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot
also
happens in 90 minutes.
Yeah, I also realized at the end of this movie, if you think about the ending of 8 Mile and the ending of this movie, it's both her and the crowd watching a stage, except this time she doesn't flip anyone off.
Very different vibes. But
I was like,
yeah, that is interesting.
That was weird how they both ended with Brittany Murphy's character watching.
Because Uptown
Fallen.
Girls is the prequel to 8 Mile.
Oh yeah, for sure. She's
Interesting take, but yeah.
Yeah.
her character in 8 Miles kind of went down a.
All right. Well, we won't talk more about 8 Mile
human
because
story.
Why not, Ash? Why not?
Well, that's for another pod. But for now, we will end off with our New York draft. So we're gonna do the best New York movies because this one is very clearly set in New York, the greatest city ever. And we're gonna do 5 each. I already did the random wheel generator. Harry, you're first.
Yes.
Then me, then Byron.
You.
Bam.
And I just want to preface this,
Fuck you,
just not
Harry.
to make rules, but I don't think it clarifies. I don't think it classifies as a New York movie if it's just characters inside of a building, never going outside. You never see an ounce
Like
of
New
the
York has
actual
to be
city.
a character.
New York has to be
Yeah.
like in the movie, the actual real city of New York.
And we're not saying like, obviously Gotham is a
No,
representation
we're not doing
of New
Batman.
York.
No, we're not doing that.
All right,
Yes,
cool.
no Gotham.
No Gotham, no superhero stuff. No, I mean, I guess
No
unless you count like
superhero stuff?
Avengers. I mean, I guess like the Avengers when they're in New York fighting whatever, like that would be technically a New York
There's
movie.
a
but...
very famous character from New York.
Well, obviously, like Spider-Man. I'm just saying it needs to be the city needs to be crucial to the movie, not just
Yeah, like Joker isn't like that's Gotham. Yeah.
I understand.
Cool.
That.
I'm gonna go.
Oh, you can veto my picks. I don't give a shit.
I'm gonna pick number 1. I'm gonna go The Batman. No, I'm gonna go Goodfellas.
Yeah,
Fuck
I figured you would.
There's like 4 movies that could all go number 1 though.
Yeah,
probably even more, honestly.
you're gonna be shocked by my first pick, but I don't really care.
Oh, dude, you've got. I've picked out a sleeper 5th already.
I like Ash because she never steals my shit.
Was that what you're gonna do? Ash, are you next or is
stayed-
it Byron?
I'm next. Yeah, I stayed true to myself, and I'm gonna go with my favorite movie of last year, and I'm gonna take Past Lives.
I fucking love
Yeah.
that pick.
I knew that was going to come sooner or later. I'm just trying to sort. How do you do this on phone? I'm just trying to get. I've just pulled up a list on phone on Letterboxd.
Oh yeah.
Love the preparation, Byron. Thank you.
I think it. I tried doing it before, but for some reason I couldn't open Letterboxd on my computer, so then I forgot about it.
Fuck, how good's Past Lives?
So good.
I remember seeing
Very good.
Past Lives at Sydney Film Festival for the first time, and I took my mate Hugh, shout out, who he likes movies, but like he doesn't watch them super regularly. And we walked out of that. He's like, "What would you give that?" I'm like, and it was like it's now a 5, but I was like 4.5. He's like, "Why? Why isn't it a 5?" Because
I
that was
remember
one of
you
the.
told me
It's
that.
like, well, that was one of the greatest films I've ever seen. He was like
Okay.
angry. I was like, yeah, I love that. Sorry, continue.
All right. So if we're saying no Joker or no Gotham, if I can take a Spider-Man movie, I will take. I would say the most common pick for best, and I'll go Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that's now. Man, there's some really like sleeper picks. I don't know how high. I don't think I need to worry about Ash taking them. I don't know how high Harry holds them. So I'm actually gonna pick a movie that you probably we actually reviewed this movie. It was from the month of Sweat, and I'm actually gonna take Do the Right Thing.
That was my next pick. So.
I'm so surprised he took that. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't think you liked it as much as we both did, but it's a
I
great
gave it
New
a-
York movie.
It's my third highest 4.5-star movie.
Oh, good on
Wow.
you. Well, epic. I'm glad you love it.
I probably could have 5 on rewatch.
All right. Well, I always like to have variety in my list, so I'm going to try to pick 5 movies that are not all like the same type of movie.
Yep.
I'm
on that right. I'm on the right track, I think.
I think I'm going to take. I gotta take a Scorsese. I just don't know which one I want.
You don't have to take a Scorsese.
I think I'm gonna go with the more underrated one. I'm gonna go with After Hours.
Okay.
Much more New York.
I haven't seen that one.
Why are you saying that, Harry? You already got one.
Yeah, maybe I want
Because you want some more.
I want to. Scorsese's the king of New York.
Stingy. You know
That
that
is
I wasn't going to take
greed.
Taxi Driver. I don't like it as much as you guys do.
That's true. That's true. Byron, do you like Taxi Driver?
It's 5-star, bro.
I think it's one of the
Cool.
most overrated movies ever.
You could have said
Yeah.
3-star. I wouldn't have taken it. But right now I'm taking Taxi Driver. So I'm going to go Scorsese 1 and 2. And then that'll probably be the last of my Scorsese films. See, this is, I kind of want a little bit of... I'm going to go When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah. That was my next pick. So.
Yes.
When are you going to meet her, though?
For me.
Funny!
I'm so funny.
Jesus.
Okay.
God.
Let's see.
So many movies, but I don't know.
I think I'm going to take a nice classic one. Going back to the Watch List Book Club, Harry.
Oh, yeah.
And The Apartment.
Oh, great movie.
Your Apartment.
You could tell it's morning for me. I wrote Scorsese down instead of Taxi Driver.
You just wrote Scorsese.
Yep.
Wow.
The Apartment. Nice pick. I love that movie.
So good.
It's kind of this is kind of a crazy pick for third round. I'm gonna go The Godfather, the first one.
Yeah, good work.
It's like literally one of the greatest things ever made.
It sure is. I was going to take that, but I was like, I just had Goodfellas, Taxi Driver, and then Godfather.
Yeah.
This feels like your guys' feel more like film bro-y.
Hey,
Except
I
for
got When
Richard
Harry
Harris
Met
Sally.
Sally.
Until that moment.
Well, I'm gonna probably keep that going because I'm actually gonna take. No, fuck it. Harry won't take it. So I'm gonna attempt. I fucking swear to God, Harry. Nah, he won't take it. There's no way. I'm actually gonna go with.
No, what?
I'm gonna just go variety the whole way through. I'm gonna go one of Stanley Kubrick's most underrated movies, which is Eyes Wide Shut.
Nice.
I've
you
never
seen that one,
Is that like clearly a New York movie?
I'd say so. Yeah.
I've never seen it.
It's so fucking good, by the way.
It's great.
I just
don't
know
know.
the line that goes around YouTube that she says to him when she's wearing the glasses and her hair up.
Yeah.
One last thing we need to do. That's all I know from that movie.
It's really good.
Play Scrabble.
Highly recommend.
Play Scrabble, yes.
Oh,
Okay.
Fuck yeah, Scrabble's so fucking mean.
Do I want something fun on here? I feel like I want
I
something
feel safe.
fun.
I feel safe with my fifth.
You know, I'm going to just follow in Harry's footsteps with the double Scorsese, and I'm going to go with The Wolf of Wall Street. Which was like the
Nice.
one I
Yeah,
had
nice.
fun watching.
That was one of my few 5-star movies left.
Nice.
It's the greatest comedy ever made.
I'm going to go number 4. Yeah, I'm going to have to leave it off the list. It's okay. I'm going to go Francis Ha.
Oh, fuck you. You're kidding me, right?
Not kidding you.
Oh.
Because my number...
Wow.
Yeah, because my number 5th to win, I'm gonna go The Devil Wears Prada.
That's literally my highest rated like New York movie, and like probably like top 15 of all time for me now.
Yeah.
I can't believe you just did that to me.
Should have taken it in your first 4 rounds then, Ash. You know, you took.
We're not friends anymore.
Yeah, well, you signed the contract.
Wow.
Fuck.
I'm really upset right now.
Yeah, I would be as
I
well.
thought I could save that for the 5th pick because
No.
I feel like you guys never talk about that movie
Great
ever.
movie. Unreal movie.
Yeah.
I've never heard
I'm
you mention
aware.
that. It's
It's fucking unreal.
not that I can recall.
Greta Gerwig, friend of the show. Like, she
You
loves
got me
it.
stressed out, Harry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can name movies that are still there if you want. Like, Night at the Museum's still on the board.
I don't need your help.
The Intern, that weird movie with Robert De Niro's there and Anne Hathaway.
I'm just gonna take my last 5-star. I'll take Tick Tick Boom.
That's a good one though. That is pretty damn good.
Tick, tick, boom.
Watched that for the first time last year.
Are you guys
Good for
fans
you.
of Home Alone 2?
Oh,
Yeah.
great movie. Yeah. That's a great pick for your fifth.
I had a sneaky suspicion that someone might have taken it. I haven't seen it.
I think
Oh.
Home Alone 2 is better than Home Alone 1. Is that a wild take?
I don't know.
No, I don't agree,
haven't
but I don't think it's
seen
wild. Take.
Does it have snow, Harry?
Yes, both have no.
Fuck. No, I don't know.
All right, Byron,
That's the
what's the
deciding
final
factor.
pick?
Final pick, I'm going to go with one of my favorite directors. I'm actually going to go with John Carpenter's Escape from New York.
Yeah, nice.
Great
Right.
movie.
Literally in the title. Literally in
Okay.
the title.
For some reason, I thought you were going to be like, John Carpenter's The Thing. And I was like,
That's what I thought you were gonna say too. I was like, that's definitely not New York, but close. All right, so to wrap it up, Harry took Goodfellas, Taxi Driver, When Harry Met Sally, Francis Ha, We're No Longer Friends, and The Devil Wears Prada. I took Past Lives, After Hours, The Apartment, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Tick Tick Boom. And Byron took Spider-Man 2, Do the Right Thing, The Godfather Part 1, Eyes Wide Shut, and Escape from New York. Pretty solid list of films there. Well, this wraps up our episode on Uptown Girls. And for next week, watch good old classic Uncle Buck. That'll lead us into the Thanksgiving week, at least Thanksgiving in America. So that'll be a fun holiday watch.
Byron,
No
have you ever
idea.
watched Uncle Buck?
I haven't seen any of these movies we've picked for this month.
Good.
When I have no idea.
I guess it's not too late to change it to The Land Before Time if we want to get some nostalgia
Watch
for
it.
Byron.
By the way, I watched that shit. I grew up thinking that was my fucking movie. Like with all my siblings, I was just like, that was my movie. And then I found out it was 88. That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely
crazy.
not fresh when you were born.
The Grudge. That was one of my.
That's your nostalgia pick? The American version of The Grudge?
That is a good movie. That was my gateway into horror, bro.
That's childhood right there. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
that
we're
was
gonna stick with Uncle Buck for now, but who knows?
scary.
Maybe one day we'll do The Grudge.
No,
Byron.
we'll do Uncle Buck.
But that's gonna wrap up nostalgia in November, and then we have something fun planned for December. So definitely look out for that.
December's
But
gonna be sick.
thank you
Is
for
it?
listening.
Yeah.
You'll find out. I'm Ash. That's Harry. That's Byron, and we will see you at the movies.